A braid, or otherwise known as a plait, is a structure or a pattern formed by interlacing 3 or more strands of hair together. There are a dozen types of different braids, but all of them are formed around the same concept of a basic braid. So by mastering the basic plait first, the rest becomes quite simple. Start by separating the ponytail into 3 equal strands. Hold 2 strands in your right hand with your palm facing up, and hold the 3rd strand in your left hand. Turn your right hand over so your palm is now facing down. This makes the right strand now in the middle and the middle strand on the right. Switch hands and hold the right strand in your right hand and the middle strand and the left strands in your left hand with your palms facing up. Turn your left hand until your palm is facing down. Repeat steps 1 through 3 until there is no more hair left available to braid. Fasten with an elastic band.
Yes, if something goes to knot the hair up instead of tying it up, so it's neater. Nope. I've never actually done a braid, but I've seen other people do it, so I know the basic concept of how to do it and stuff.
From what I observed in Irfan's first attempt in braiding, I can respectfully say that he's in the cognitive stage of learning. He has shown that he has not had any previous experience or practice before in braiding. He doesn't show the right technique, and therefore, as shown in the film, you can see that he finds difficulty completing the skill. The first and most important thing I need to teach Irfan now is how to perform the right technique. In the cognitive stage, learners are more focused on what to do rather than how to do it.
First thing I do is break down the skill into steps. I go through the steps with Irfan and make him perform each action with his hands. This drill is to help him get comfortable with the idea of his hands twisting and swapping strands. I do the same so he can mimic each step and let him see what he's doing wrong and right. The reason for this is so he can self-evaluate himself and let himself understand the motion of braiding. This makes him learn to give himself internal feedback, so when he learns to braid later on by himself, he will know what he is doing wrong without me having to tell him. After this, I move up a level and let Irfan practice this technique on my hair. In this stage, the focus is that he can apply the correct technique. Throughout this session, I help assist and correct him on his performance of the skill. The result of the skill isn't as important at this stage, as the focus is to make sure he understands the concept and process of braiding.
Really fast. He's improved a lot from his first attempt at braiding. The only trouble that I noticed that he had was that his motion wasn't very fluid. It's because his hands and fingers aren't relaxed. He finds trouble twisting and swapping the strands around, and it takes him a while to complete the full braid. I guess with more practice he'll adapt to it, hopefully. Something that I'd like to focus on next session is separating the hair into 3 strands and starting off the braid, as well as making his actions fluid. I found it hard, and it was like a struggle to teach Irfan this session because I couldn't always see what he was doing when he was braiding my hair. I found it hard to give good feedback because of this as well. To change this, I think I will bring in other people to help assist me. The next session will be more focused on practicing.
I started off by going over the steps with Irfan and letting him warm up his memory. This also helped me give better feedback and advice to him this time, since I could see what he was doing a lot better. This drill will help Irfan focus on the braiding technique, to tidy up his actions and to make it more fluid. By removing the element of starting the braid from scratch, it helps the learner focus on purely separating and the braiding motion.
Irfan made a lot of improvement in this session. Irfan improved separating the hair into 3 strands and his fluid motion in this drill, but not completely, as it still really hurt when he was braiding my hair. He seemed to find it easier when I was next to him giving him pointers instead of me letting him do it by himself. This time teaching Irfan was very easy compared to the last session. I had help from others, which allowed me to observe Irfan's progress and assist him more hands-on and more efficiently. Irfan surprised me with how fast he was able to learn this skill. I can confidently say that Irfan is now in the associative stage in learning and he's no longer a cognitive learner. Compared to the beginning of the task, Irfan no longer has to think about what he has to do, but he thinks more about how he can achieve the braid more efficiently. His movement is a lot more fluid and he doesn't find a lot of difficulty executing the braid anymore. Practice is all that Irfan can do to improve his braid. His movements are a lot less stiff and awkward and he can now complete a braid in mere minutes. For the future, he can start working on trying to improve the results of his braid into a quality braid. Irfan can learn to be a little bit more gentle when he braids and maybe to take into consideration to try and braid straight instead of curved. In our first session, I think that the first activity we did was really helpful for Irfan to learn the technique. He showed that he took in this activity really well when he started braiding on my hair in the second activity, and he showed a lot more confidence in the steps. A negative aspect about the first session that I found in my teaching was that I couldn't give Irfan quality feedback because I was unable to observe his progress and his performance in braiding in that activity because he was braiding on my own hair. In the second session, Irfan did a really good job. He definitely moved past being a cognitive learner at this stage. What went wrong in this session, I think, was that my lack of preparation. I did not really think that Irfan didn't know how to tie up, how to fasten the end of a braid, so I ended up having to stop halfway in our practice to teach him how to fasten up a braid with a hair tie. I think that my teaching was a lot better at the second session, as well as the quality of my feedback. I think this was because I had a lot more help and I was a lot more hands-on in teaching Irfan, and I knew what he was working on and I knew what he was struggling with. He also gave me feedback on what he was finding hard. I think for next time, if I was going to go about teaching how to braid, I could probably work on the quality of my feedback and how often I give it. I would have set up a drill for each of the actions and the steps. This is just so that the person could get a better chance at perfecting each action while learning in the cognitive stage. So at the very start, they know how to twist with their right hand, and I'd work on finger skills a lot more. I think that would have been a better way to go instead of learning it as we went.